in my uncle's time, there was always payoffs, little like under the table money, like protection money of sorts in the 80s and 90s. That was a rough period in Chinatown with all the gang violence or just gangs in general. And I remember listening to your podcast, a couple of guests before me. That's some of that.
Lucky Boys Podcast.
Your restaurant is in a very interesting location. I guess it's known for, in terms of PR, it's great. It's known as Murder Alley.
Yep.
There's several nicknames. What's another one? The
Bloody Angle is another one. Yep.
And we talked about this in a previous podcast. It got its name because of all the gangs in the past. And I guess when you came around to it, it wasn't the same
Right.
reference, because obviously gangs have died down a lot. However, still very prevalent at that time, right? When you were coming in.
I think the gang stuff pretty much stopped since Giuliani was the mayor of New York. What is this, like 20 years ago? I want to say, like the last time I remember was probably like the 90s. Growing up in Chinatown, in the 80s and 90s, that was a rough period in Chinatown with all the gang violence or just gangs in general. And I remember listening to your podcast, a couple of guests before me. That's some of that.
Right. Right.
The gang stuff. But I think the last 20 years have been pretty normal, business as usual. Definitely the last 10 years, nothing like that at all. I know in my uncle's time, there was always, payoffs, little like under the table money, like protection money of sorts, but definitely not, in my tenure at the restaurant as the current gatekeeper of sorts. It's been pretty smooth, and that gang stuff is more of like you say, a PR thing, and a lot of our customers are either visiting New York or in New York for the first time, so that's like a story, and I remember many a times, especially in the summer, when I'm hanging out in front of the store, just talking to the locals and other merchants. You'll see like a tour guide walk past and like talk about the Murder Alley. And I always like try to stick my ear in and make sure they're not like botching the story.
Because they do. I've also
or exaggerating some parts of it, right?
Yeah.
But I find that very interesting. It's very New York, and I think that I owe some of my success to that. It's almost like free advertising, because we get all prior to COVID, we got all walks of life coming into the restaurant, and it was very interesting to hear these things. And I remember, they sometimes they'll talk about me like, oh, this new kid that came in and took over the restaurant, his name is Wilson. And I'm like, yep, that's me right over here. And like, whoa.
Oh, you would hear it like eavesdropping.
Yeah, because I'm always eavesdropping, making sure like the story is like legit, So I try to have fun with it. But, it's a great block. It's, for those who are not from New York, it's one of the first streets in Chinatown, which includes Doyers, Pell, and Mott Street. So that's the center. That's where Chinatown in New York really started.
Yeah.
And, through all the decades, it's gone through many phases. Like when we talk about like early on, on the corner of Pell and Doyers is this big wall. And people used to put on like notes from like things going back at home in China, like all the news they would put on the wall. And my uncle kind of served as a like took mail for people, was really the hub of a place to eat, because like there wasn't as many options back then, and now it's really there's Chinatown has grown obviously, but back in the days it was really that main quarter, like Dwyer, Pell, Mott Street was the beginning.
It's iconic. I see not only in news channels but in music videos, from hip hop to rock, movies, commercials. They're constantly using that area, and it looks great visually when you're trying to represent Chinatown, especially from a like a dangerous aspect. They do it one of two ways. I usually either see it as a throwback to, because it does have this dangerous old school Chinatown vibe, this alleyway, and you can't really see the bend of what's behind it.
Yeah.
Or they film it as okay, this is classic Chinatown. We're going by one of the most iconic areas, and we're taking this shot.
Yeah, if for those who again are not have never been to Chinatown before, like if you walk down Pell Street and look and make that turn onto Doyers, it's really, really a nice. It almost looks like a movie set of sorts.
Yeah.
And we haven't done many movies lately, but we've definitely had our fair share of movies like Spider-Man to Law and Order, like all sorts of production on the block. And you're right, at night, right now, like a lot of music videos, and I've even seen on Facebook like car meetups. Like they would just kind of
on that block. How it's so narrow.
Yeah, like just like a car crew will like drive over and like kind of park their car like in a way to like take pictures of it. It's kind of cool.
So they have to get up on a sidewalk.
Yeah. And I'm all good with that, because it brings attention to my restaurant, and people are, oh, hey, that's the dim sum place that's always in the news or whatever. So it's great. I mean, there is like raunchy stuff too, like there's just like like people are doing their rap videos and like doing that kind of production of sorts with cars and girls and things like that.